Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Madyson, and I am so excited for today's quarantine coffee and Jesus because today's spiritual discipline is the discipline of celebration, and this is such a good word, you guys. If you're anything like me, when you hear that word, your ears perk up and you're just automatically got a smile on your face and you're like, who are we celebrating? Where and when? I don't even care why. Like, let's just get together and all have a blast. So, all that to say, I'm so happy to be here with you guys this morning. And we're just going to jump right in and start by talking about something that I think is sometimes a common assumption or a common misconception about people who have a relationship with or choose to live their life with Jesus. And that misconception, I think, is that Jesus equals no fun, no joy, and no celebrating, and the Bible is just a big book of rules, and if you break those rules, you're done. Too bad, so sad, right? And for some of us, maybe that's the story that we were told, or that was the first impression that we had of Jesus. Maybe you were told that something you or your family did was unforgivable, and that there was no way that God could love you, or maybe your impression of a life with Jesus was one that was so boring, or maybe one that was full of lies and secrecy, or maybe full of anger. And who wants to follow a God like that, right? Like, not me. If I'm giving my life to something and I'm saying, Jesus, I accept you as the king of my life, I don't want to be miserable. None of us do. I don't want to follow a God that wants my life to be sad, boring, or awful, right? But if we're willing, I think that we could take a step back to look into what we are actually promised when we live our lives with Jesus. Not what other people have maybe told us or have shown us life with Jesus was about, but we can see that Jesus actually wants a life for us that is full of joy, happiness, peace, and goodness. So if we believe that Jesus wants all these things for us, I think we could all probably agree that this is really good news. And if we can agree on that, how then do we celebrate and show thankfulness and gratitude for these things, both in our relationships with Jesus as well as our relationship with others? And I honestly don't think, you guys, that there's one answer that fits for every person, right? I think that for everyone, there's lots of different ways that we celebrate our lives, that we celebrate others, and that we celebrate that relationship that we have with Jesus. For me personally, I love to celebrate and show my gratitude in lots of different ways, whether that means like prayer, spending time in God's creation, like with nature, or spending time with my friends and family. But for some, showing gratitude and celebrating might be like playing music, like worshiping, or playing an instrument, or doing acts of service, reading or writing, or any number of things that allow us to focus our hearts on the good news and the joy that we found in Jesus. And I think that's really important also, that we identify how we show gratitude, because Jesus deserves that, right? He more than deserves that. And I think sometimes we get caught in the routine of only showing that gratitude and celebration for Jesus when life is going really good and we have no worries and we're not going through any kind of hardship. But it's really valuable and really important that we not only lift up praise in the good times, but in the bad times too. And I'm sure that especially now, in this crazy season of life that we're all going through, that's kind of hard to wrap our heads around, right? But Jesus hears our prayers. He hears those praises, and He knows the desires of our hearts, and we can celebrate and be thankful knowing that He promises us that life that's full of joy, full of love, and full of peace, a fullness that we can't find anywhere else. So my challenge for us today would just be for all of us to ask the question of, how do we celebrate? And how do we show our gratitude? Is it going hiking and spending some time outside? Is it going into our communities in a time of need like we're in right now? Is it organizing a Bible study so that you can share in that thankfulness with others in community? Or maybe if you're feeling really busy and overwhelmed, is it just setting aside maybe 15 extra minutes in your morning before you go to bed at night, if you catch some spare time in the day between whatever you're doing, just to spend some time with Jesus, to just recognize all that you thank Him for? So that's something that I think you and I can carry into this week, is a spirit of thankfulness, of joy, of celebration, and of gratitude for the fullness of life that Jesus has promised us, and an idea of how we're going to execute and show that thankfulness as well. I love you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in to another Quarantine Coffee and Jesus. And make sure you guys watch the rest of the videos this week to finish off our spiritual disciplines. We love you guys so much, and we will see you guys back tomorrow.